normal life resumes. It was nice to have a day away. So I included a clip of me doing some filming. You'll be wondering what that is, but I can tell you. It was me doing some filming for Royal Bank, so Royal Bank of Scotland, Nat West. We have cow calving, obviously. Just gonna sit and watch and see how she progresses. We've just got little feet. See the calf moving, it's absolutely fine in there, twiddling its little legs. Her discharge is not too discoloured, which is fine. If a discharge was muddy, horrible, dirty, brown kind of stuff that had been dragged around the floor a few times, you'd notice it and you'd think, oh, there's something wrong here. I remember when I first started calving cows, all them years ago, 14 years ago, and 15 years ago now. And it was like, I remember asking our vet, when do you jump in? And she was like, that is the question. And that is the question. Very much. I think it's just intuition, and you get a feel and you get a know for what's going on. So the ball is moving, she's in and out. It's not come all the way out and popped. Every time she moves, there's a great deal of movement. So that means that there's nothing stuck, it is moving. So you can see. Now the likelihood is she's not going to do anything with me here. And if I prop my phone up, she's just going to do it anyway without me watching. So she's not in too much discomfort, but bear in mind a cow can eat through, a hurricane. They would not, they're very greedy creatures. So don't let that sway you. But I am not worried about that animal. She is not too fat, which is also a problem for calving. If you've got cows that are far too fat, they tend to struggle, but she isn't. She's at an all right weight. She's been outside on grass. She's fairly strong. She's still active. She's not sweated up or looking miserable. There, she's having a contraction now. Can you see, watch her tail go up, she'll lie down, and then you'll see her belly kind of tighten up and heave, and her leg will straighten out, and she'll go, ugh. There, like, watch. There. Well, she's just putting silage in over there. So I think there's 3 left. No, maybe 2 left in here to calve now. Wonder if she'll let me in. I don't think she will, I'll see. Perfectly honest, I shouldn't be stood here. Don't do this. Don't follow me at home. Do you know what I mean? It's not good practice. Honestly, that's not good practice. Don't do it. I was only doing it for the effect of the video, to be fair. I'm actually going to leave her to it. I'm going to leave her half an hour and I'm going to come back. That is my plan. She might have had it. She might not. It's how long's a piece of string when you're calving. It's the same as women's birth stories when you think about it in that perspective. I popped kids out in 10 minutes in one case and 20 minutes in the other, very, very easily, with no problems. It is unheard of. I probably should have reproduced more, but I am not a maternal person, and I struggle with I struggle looking after the children that I've got, to be perfectly honest. The reason that I'm leaving her, the reasons I think she's fine, just to recap, is the fluid is clear. That's a good indication. If the fluid is dirty, dark, bloody, and it's been there a long time, it could be black even, the fluid. That is an indication that something's wrong. It's been going on for too long. If the membrane, so the white stuff that you saw that was fairly translucent, if that had gone, not yellow, like creamy coloured, like solid coloured, that means it's been out a long time and it's dried and, hardened to the weather kind of thing. Not dried as such, but it goes less see-through. She's actually calving now when I've walked away, which is great. So we'll probably just leave her to it. I would like to video it for you, but it's the middle of a field, man. I don't think I'll get there. And safety-wise, it's probably not a good idea to do silly things on YouTube, if I'm honest. One has to be very cautious. What one puts on the internet when people are watching. One. Brain cell. New clobber. Ooh, check me out. These, because, are you ready? Got Roy doing all the work while I'm talking about clothes. I get cold necks, and look at this. Yes. Love it. And you can put it on underneath the coat and the collars aren't both layered together and big and fat. Love it. But actually it's too hot for any of this. I should really take it off, but I'm wearing it because it's new. For half an hour in the cow's calved. Now I've made road driving because obviously you are very vulnerable if you walk in a field with a freshly calved cow. It's not something that you should do, and we actually know somebody who was killed by a cow in a field, and you have no protection. So we're just going to drive over and I'll take you with us. Get away, you. Hello, chicken. So can you see the wary look she's got? That's exactly what you don't want. I would not be safe walking in that field. So she crossed now, she crossed. At the point here you get a really good look at those teats. Because we want to know that calf is sucked. I think when you're outside, that's the only thing that you're vulnerable of. Not knowing whether the calf's been on. So we'll keep an eye. He's already trying to get up, and we'll watch for the bag going down to see whether the calf's been on. Hopefully catch it in the act, which makes it a little bit easier. I'd like to have known whether it was a bull or a heifer, but now is definitely not the right time. Just gonna leave it to it. Now, we've been really honest all the way along throughout this YouTubing thing. We had major issues with iodine deficiency, selenium and iodine, and we've only sorted them out typically the year before we give up with the beef cows. Obviously it's going to be something that we carry forward the knowledge into dairy cows, but having calves pop out and jump up and get on sucking is actually a novelty to us. And I mean that. We've had some really shitty years of calving where the calves have been lethargic, they've not got up, they've not got on, everything just went wrong. Some of them popped out, blinked at you, didn't breathe, and just died even though they had a heart. Honestly, the whole thing was horrendous. So turning over a new leaf and realising what your actual issue is. Just making room for a rather large arrival. So we shifted the feed bin. These are big boxes, massive boxes, so we're going to need a lot of space. So we're shifting the feed bin, we shift all these pallets, all of the bags that are strewn all over from fertiliser, because we literally just threw them through the door, to be honest. And all of this quarter of the building I think will be taken up. Against the wall, in a corner, out of the way is where I want them. It is a scientific farming fact that when you go somewhere, something dies. Exhibit A. Thunder and lightning, very frightening indeed. So he's seen his first bit of sunshine, his first bit of sunshine, and his first showers. His mum's right up there on that hill, so me and Roy have just come to check on him. He's fairly weak, isn't he? We'll take him back to his mum. To be fair, he'll find his way. She's only there. She's there. So he's found a really comfy place under a tree to keep sheltered because it's fair. Tipped it down today. Just taking it back to its mum really slowly, just before anyone thinks we're chasing it or anything dramatic. Usually we would not do this, but it's been really heavy thunder showers and rain today, so we're just taking it just back to its mum. Look at the sky. It's crazy, so changeable. This is what we needed though. Look at him go! So we are just picking sticks.
Before the rain, we did have the loader tractor.
Before it rained, we did have the loader tractor, but then we came out to do this and it absolutely wet it down. Is that a good word? Roy wants to get some slurry on, give the ground a bit of a boost with the rain. So we're going to do this. He says he thinks he'll rough muck this because it'll have a longer lasting effect. So during lockdown, all down these dyke backs here, we handpicked, which kept us busy for probably the majority of lockdown because it hadn't been done for like 70 years or something. All of the stones that were in the field. Now all the stones are back again. You can't probably see them on there. Yeah, you can here, look. So that's just the sheep going in amongst the bottom of the hedges and pulling them all out. So this is why we are double fencing, not just for stones, for the hedges themselves, to be honest. It protects the hedges. Because there's nothing worse than a sheep for ruining a hedge when they go in among it. I'm ready. Oh, look at all that tasty silage. So the barley is officially gone. There's nothing here. I'll show you upstairs, even though it's my worst nightmare. We're waiting for a load to be blown in. Let me just turn my phone around. God, this is just... Don't touch anything, don't touch anything, don't touch it. So this is the loft. It's basically just a tiny loft, and the barley all gets blown in right up to the ceiling, and then it goes down that hole. But yeah, this is the loft. Bit of an industry John Deere here. The green light means that he's got his seatbelt on. Who knew? Just as well they don't have them on farmers' tractors. I want to talk to you about wool. If you don't like wool or its associated issues and benefits, in particular, the price of wool. So you might be wondering why I have hoid all this behind a gate. Because, like last year and the year before, it is going to make compost. Now, when you send wool to make compost, they don't care whether you roll it neatly and pull all the pooey bits off. They literally just want it in a bag and dry. That's it. That's all they want. So we hoy it down there. It's absolutely fine. We'll shove it in dumpy bags and we'll take it. Every year I go, oh my God, the fleeces are so gorgeous. I'm going to keep them. I don't. It is at, I think the wool price from British Wool Board is something along the lines of 45 pence a kilo. Let's have a look at what a kilo of wool looks like, because I think it's always best to put these things into context. Last year we sheared and we got about £157 back for it. I couldn't find anything to hang it off, so I've half put the door up. Oh, and there on there. I'll just put it up a bit more. Here we have, see, I actually, in a previous life, I am a superbly experienced wool lover for all my sins. I maybe don't talk too much about it on YouTube because I have a lot of work that I am very behind on. Please don't hate me, anyone that's waiting for artwork. I'm so sorry. This here is 4 kilos. Here, this amount of wool for scale, this is how big it is. It is probably just about a full fleece, but it is, obviously I was doing this as a charity thing for school, and I was selling it to the gardeners in the village for a token couple of quid a bag, just to raise some money for the kiddies, really, to be honest. And it was for weed suppression, moisture retention and gardening. That was basically mulch. That's what it was for. Small amount of wool there that you just saw was worth £1.80. So last year we got about 160, was it 100 and, I think it was 167 quid, something like that for our wool. Not a lot of money. So the reason why we send it to compost is it doesn't need to be rolled, cleaned, perfected, shoved in a wool bag immaculately and vetted at the other end. It's for compost. That's what they want it for. So you hoy it in a bag and you give it to them and they're happy with it and they give you a price. Now, Years ago, they introduced something called minimum wage. Now, if you think of all the time and effort that is put into rolling properly, fleeces, keeping them clean, dagging them, you know, pulling all the bits of rubbish off, you will fast realise that it doesn't cover the wage, or definitely not the time, of the person who is doing that job. It also costs money to shear the sheep. The sheep need shearing. It's not an option. I think everybody who watches this channel will have kind of gathered that by now. It isn't a choice. It isn't done because you want to. It's done because you need to. It's for welfare reasons. There is no option. As far as wool itself goes, wool is an amazing product, and if I cast my mind back to when I was a massive advocate of British wool, I still am, I'm just slightly jaded with the whole situation. It is sustainable, biodegradable, naturally renewable, naturally water repellent. It's not waterproof, it's water repellent, so obviously the water drips off it. It's self-cleaning in the sense that you don't need to wash it, you just wait for stuff to dry. If you have a wool carpet, you dab it. If you have it in a duvet, it wicks sweat away. If you're wearing it, it also wicks sweat away. So in the sense that it keeps you cold in, well, not cold, it keeps you cool in summer and hot in winter if you're wearing it on a duvet or a jumper, hence why woolly jumpers were great. So it regulates your temperature a lot better than synthetic fibres. It doesn't have the same structure about it that traps smells. So when people wear synthetic fibres, you will very often, let's be adults about it, find that you get BO a lot easier than if you're wearing natural wool fibres, or cotton for that instance, don't forget that. Wool has this natural ability to bounce back. So I think I'd have to look, but say for instance, you have a carpet that is made out of wool and you, the door is low and it brushes against the carpet every single day. By the time, you know, you've brushed against it a few hundred times, the synthetic carpet will be completely flat, and the fibre that you've compressed will not bounce back anymore. It just is part of life. Wool, however, has a larger lifespan for bounce back. If you were by some chance interested in me talking about wool, which I have done extensively in the past, I did do some YouTube videos, and I also have a playlist on my TikTok dedicated to wool processing and art. So if you wanted to have a look at that, please feel free to do so. Let's talk about wool in a gardening sense. Wool in a gardening sense is absolutely fabulous. Get it? You put it around your fruits, vegetables, flowers, whatever, and it naturally keeps slugs and snails away. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, because it isn't, but they don't like the feeling of slithering over the top of it, so it keeps them away a little bit. And it does things like weed suppression. Obviously, no light gets to the soil, so the weeds, the little tape, they don't grow, which is absolutely grand. And also, it does things like water retention. Is that what I'm meaning to say? I think it is. So if you water your plants, the water doesn't evaporate as quick. It is water retention, isn't it? My mind's just gone totally blank. And all are really loud, they're obviously hungry. To wool. If wool is so wonderful, which we say it is, it does this, it does that, it does this, it does that, why is it so cheap to buy off us? Why? And then on the other end of the scale, why is a wool product so expensive to buy? Someone is taking a big cut out of it. I don't know who. I would be interested to find out. Is it the processing costs of wool are a lot more than anything else? For it being a sustainable fibre that has travelled nowhere, you know, it's fairly local and very British, I don't see how it is so... Oh, your nails, that's sharp, stop it. I read, believe it or not, that wool is a sequester of carbon. Now, I'm not sure. I've read this before and I've never repeated it to the point of being this is a fact about wool, because I was never sure. You know, like they say about trees sequester carbon until you chop them down and then it's all let out, basically. Basic level, that's what happens. I always wondered whether wool was the same. Wool sequesters carbon until it's shorn. That's my thinking. I'd love someone to correct me and I'd love to learn more about the subject, but it's just not something that I've been able to find out so far. It's
It's a fibre that I'm interested in. I've worked with it an awful lot. Whilst I'm talking now, I'll put a load of videos over the top of this of me working with wool. It's something I am not as much latterly, but I am very passionate about. I do have a Instagram set up, you know, for wool, its uses, artwork, me using it, shouting about all the good properties. And yeah, I've lost my way a little bit with it recently, but obviously it's coming around to a time where we will be selling our wool. We've got another 40 sheep to clip and then it'll be going. I'll just add a little bit here about the breed of sheep. I just realised as I came inside I hadn't done it. So the price very much does depend on the breed of sheep. So things like Wensleydale, Teeswater, Blueface Leicester, that fleece is classed as a speciality fleece and therefore is worth more. Now that is worth £4.50 a kilo. So that, for instance, is the kind of thing that you would make some very special woolly jumpers out of. It's very fine, thin, soft fibre with a nice crimp in it. So obviously I'll do a video on wool in general because I can talk about it for hours. There is an hour-long YouTube video about me explaining the different types of wool somewhere. I'll try and hunt that out for you. On the other end of the spectrum, there is things like Welsh mountain sheep wool, which is similar to what you would have seen when I went to Gareth Wyn-Jones. That's 10 pence a kilo. So there is a massive difference in the quality, or what they deem the quality of wool to be. As a rule, I've always found the higher up a fell you go, the lower the quality of wool. But it's better for the sheep, but it's worse for us. That's how it seems to happen. So it's obviously more resilient up there on the higher ground. And as you get lower down the valleys kind of thing, that's when you get your finer wools that aren't as good at, you know, keeping the weather out. They are worth more. I do wonder why the price of wool for the farmer, why the price they are receiving is so low and yet the price of the product at the end of it is so high. Someone is taking the money out somewhere along the line. Now, is this the retailers or is it the processors? I'm not sure, but it's definitely not the farmer that is benefiting from it. Thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it. If you made it to the end, you're an absolute star. I can't thank you enough. I will be at the Yorkshire show on Wednesday. Please, if you do see me, please come and say hi, because I've had a few people message me and say, oh, I saw you at the Highland, but I didn't want to come and speak to you. Dude, seriously, just grab me, poke me, throw me, do something, trip me up. I don't care. And then I am at Great Eccleston show on the weekend following the Yorkshire show, which will be marvellous. So I hope to see you there as well. Don't forget to press like, share, subscribe, and as always, I really do appreciate you. Like, really, I do.